Welcome to the Satanic Chef Live Halloween edition. Tonight we're going to be cooking some Samhain favorites. Yes, I just did. Put Jesus in the microwave, that is. Whoops. If you guys are new here, thank you for coming. I brought my trusty owl talons, which I might cut myself with later, because the owls are not what they seem in here. So thank you for coming. Man, look at this fucking mess these fucking Bibles have made. Fucking things are no good. These are pollute the environment. We're gonna have to burn these fucking things. There's no way we can recycle them. How the fuck are we gonna get rid of all these? Like, seriously, like, what the flying fuck? Anyways, got some cool stuff I'm going to cook for you. Some Samhain favorites, that is. I got some Colcannon, which is simply Irish mashed potatoes with kale and green garlic. Some scalloped corn with some roux, polenta, and I got some corn right here. And we're going to roast the lamb again tonight. Same setup. Charmula, salsa verde. Already got it pretty much made. Before she died, my friend Tara gave me this. This is some marijuana lotion. Thinking about you, Tara. God damn it! There's fucking Bibles everywhere in my apartment now. Burned Bibles. What the fuck am I going to do with these things? Maybe put them in the oven? I don't fucking know. Let's turn the oven on to 475. What are you guys all dressed up for Halloween like? Can't see any of you. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Summer. So let's get started, guys. Samhain technically means the summer's end. Samhain is also, well, Samhain was a band by the name of Samhain. It was the last Samhain show. It means the summer's end. It's also the day the spirits of the dead that died previously in the past 12 months prior to this day were allowed to come into the afterworld, or as I call the astral plane, or what a lot of other people like to call just sleep. And that's pretty much all it is. My grandfather once told me, when you're dead, you're nothing more than just a piece of dead meat. Which is true. That's all you are. Just a piece of dead meat. So, originally, a lot of cultures, they worship their dead. The ancient Egypt used to bury their dead with honey cakes, believe it or not. And the Mexicans, as we know, they have a tradition, Dos de Muertes, where they worship the dead for about 4 to 5 days, and they have this big festival. It's delicious food everywhere. At the Natural History Museum at Harvard, they had a big they had a big thing going on there for Dos de Muertes. It's pretty cool. So we're gonna cook a couple things today. We're gonna make some Irish mashed potatoes, as I said, some scalloped corn, some roasted lamb. So right now, in front of me, I got some polenta. Now, the way to really do this the right way, the way I was taught by an Irishman, is you get your little pan going. And you melt a little butter. So I got my pan going. And here we got some Kerrygold Irish butter. And so we're going to make a roux. And a roux is basically the base to a lot of sauces. You can use, so it's equal parts flour, equal parts butter. So this dish in particular is kind of it's a traditional dish, but it's kind of a cross between like a cornbread and not. So I'm using polenta on it and regular corn instead of putting eggs in it. So I got a little bit of 00 flour and I got equal parts butter in there. And what I'm going to do is melt my butter first. I'm going to take a wooden spatula, kind of give it some help. And once it's melted, I'm going to add my flour. And I'm going to mix that in. And what that's doing is it's helping create a thickening agent for scalloped corn. So basically, all you want to do is incorporate your flour and your butter. You can use dairy-free butter if you would like, and that way you can make a vegan roux. It contains no solids. Right now, I'm cooking out the flour that's in there and the fat. Next up, I'm going to add my milk. I'm going to incorporate that really nice. So we're just gonna kind of stir this and let all that roux kind of combine itself in with our milk. I've got my oven at 405 degrees. It's probably going to go up a little bit. While that's going, I'm going to add, nope, I'm not going to add my corn yet. I'm going to grab my whisk. Well, I can't find my whisk. Oh, there it is. And it ended up over here while we were dealing with that Bible situation earlier. So, as you can see, my sauce is starting to thicken up. This is a super, super easy dish. You just want to add the right amount of salt. So we're essentially making a bechamel, and that is one of the mother sauces. Bechamel is also used in a lot of things with pasta, lasagna. If you were to add cheese to it, it would become a Mornay sauce, and that is essentially what is in mac and cheese sauce. So now that that's all thickened up, I'm going to add a little bit of this polenta, but not too much. So not even like a quarter of a cup, maybe just a couple tablespoons. We're just letting that polenta, that cornmeal, kind of bloom in there. This is going to be the base of our creamed corn cake, also known as scalloped corn. Yep, starting to bloom in there. Just going to keep an eye on it. This is a super easy dish to make at home. Super easy dish. I mean, I can't stress it enough. But you want to make sure that when you have it on the heat that you don't burn your sauce, because milk will scald and it will burn. So right now I can see the polenta starting to bloom up. It's starting to cook. And then I'm going to add my corn. And the corn has plenty of natural water in it. So when I add the corn, it's going to add a little bit more moisture to it. At this point, we're going to get rid of our thick-toothed whisk. Sorry, it's super smoky in here. I can barely see. Put my heat on medium. So in this copper pot, what I'm going to do is take some of my butter and just sort of go around the edges. So the idea, Halloween was basically based off of, the idea of a masquerade. They would dress up to ward off evil spirits, and a lot of people like to call it a sorely. One of those people was Anton LaVey. That was one of his favorite words. So essentially, this is a sorely tonight. Everybody's all dressed up for TSTVHQ. And this is going to be the last night of my cooking shows until we can plan another week of these. So right now, all that polenta is bloomed up in that milk, that roux. The corn's in there. The corn's kind of like growing together, so I'm just going to put it all in here. Usually it calls for like an egg, but you don't need to do that. This is one of those things you can actually make within minutes. And it's so fucking good. And if you have a cast iron, even better. Cook this over open flame. So my oven's at 475. I'm just going to put that right in there on the bottom. Usually this calls for like a 30-minute timer situation, but I'm not even going to bother with that right now. I'm just going to put it in there for about 5 to 10 minutes. 10-minute timer, please. And let's hope that that does not burn, because I will cry. Jack will cry, we'll all cry, I'll cut myself, and that will be the end of things with the Bibles on the floor. I'm not going to say it. I'm just saying that will be the end of the scalloped corn. Because it will be very sad, and we won't have scalloped corn to eat later. I'm going to take my polenta and move it off to the side. While that's working, I'm going to teach you guys how to make some really cool Irish mashed potatoes. You're probably like, what the hell is Adam talking about? Well, Colcannon is basically Irish mashed potatoes, which happen to be mashed potatoes with cabbage and kale in, and usually some kind of like scallion or something. So I have some Yukons that I've cooked whole, and this is the best way to cook mashed potatoes, is to cook your potatoes whole, bring them up in cold water, and after they've been up in cold water, remove the skins after they've broiled and simmered for a while. So that way you don't have to peel them, and you don't have to waste product. So it's an old trick a lot of people, I think, don't like to do because they think it's time consuming, but in reality it's a lot easier than peeling a fucking potato. And you have less scrap, less waste. And you can technically eat these, but they peel right off. In fact, a lot of French chefs, when they go to have you make something like a Palms Robichon, which is essentially what we're going to be making today, but we're going to be making it with some kale and cabbage. That is a really buttery, milky kind of mashed potato. And it's super smooth, and it's really good with things like lamb, steak, or just as is if you want to sit around and eat it. Just be a fat ass. That took me less time than it would to peel a fucking potato. So if I was to peel a potato, I would still be peeling. And these didn't cool down, which is a good thing. So I'm going to take my potatoes, I'm going to cut them in half, Also, if you're making potato salad at home, do it like this. It's a lot easier. I quarter the big ones. When I worked at this French restaurant called Celle de la Terre, we had to make 10 gallons of Palms Robichon a week, like 3 times a week, because that's how much we would go through. And the way we would make it is we'd take our potatoes, we'd be peeling them, and then we'd take the scraps and give it off to family meal, which is what people ate. All the cooks ate and the chefs ate like 2:30 in the afternoon. But, you know, when you go to like work at a smaller place, you can do cooler techniques like this. And that's one of the things that I learned how to do. So right now I'm just getting my potatoes heated up a little bit. So I'm just going to put them in the oven. I'm going to wipe down my station as I go. And I am going to get, if I could only see in here, that would be nice. It's right in front of me. I'm going to get some cream. I'm sorry, whole milk. Start heating that up. And I have some sour cream here as well. And I'm just going to put that in. That will give it a tangy texture. I'm going to bring that up to a simmer, and when that comes up to a simmer, I'm going to add some butter to it. Put it in now. Just melting all that in. So essentially we're making mashed potatoes, but we're also making more of a buttery mashed potato. And Robichon potatoes is named after a chef named Joël Robichon, who passed away recently, because it was his signature potato. Got some green garlic here. Just going to slice that. Green garlic is like garlic that grows on a stem. It's like a leek, and a leek is a root vegetable, so it sticks out of the ground. I'll show you something. So these are fucking scallions, kid. This is the bulb, this is the top. This is exactly what green garlic is like. We're just heating up our potatoes just so they have a little bit of warmth to them, because we're going to need them to be warm when we mill them. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So that's coming up to a simmer. Take this bad Larry right here, heat up this pan. Put a little bit more fat in there. A little butter. A little olive oil. Let's come up to a simmer. Little Bible fire. Oh yeah. Make sure you set a nice Bible fire. It'll help things cook better. And I'll have my green garlic. Yeah, I do have a book. It's called Devilish Delights. We're going to be doing the photography in about 2 weeks. It's taken 3 fucking years to get done. I've been turned away from 3 publishers. So I'm kind of self-publishing it at this point. So green garlic is a lot like leeks, but except that it doesn't have as much sand and crap into it, so you don't have to worry. It's used in a lot of Asian dishes as well, so you can get this at any Asian supermarket. It smells so fucking good. And while that heats up, I'm just going to add my kale. I'm going to season all this so it cooks a little faster. Let's check our yeah, that's it. Perfect. Take the potatoes out too. Yeah, those are heated up. Maybe give those some minute. Just gonna put this in for just 2 more minutes. Four minutes. No, it's not in the TSP store yet. Malcolm and I are working on that. Now that that's pretty much done, bring it over to the camera so you guys can see. Got my kale, my green garlic. Take out my potatoes. And one of the tricks to cooking is that you really want to multitask. So I'm going to take this pan here, heat this up on the stove top. So I'm a big fan of cooking things with sunflower oil, which is what this is. And that's how we're going to cook our lamb. So this is a food mill, guys. Food mills are used technically to process food. So we're going to take our potatoes and our cream and just sort of mill it together through. And I can bring this over to the camera so you can take a better look. Before we do that, I've got some lamb here. Now I've seasoned this with a lot of salt and earth and chilies. Just going to trap that right in there. So this is a food mill. Essentially, we're going to put our potatoes through this like this. Perfect. I'm going to take my potatoes, which I have right here, and I have my melted sour cream, butter, and milk mixture. Now the trick to making a really good mashed potato is this. This is the trick. So you take potatoes, put them into the food mill. Take a little of this, your milky mixture, and just pour a little bit over the top. And then as fast as you can, put it through. Now these are Yukon Gold potatoes. They're my favorite potatoes to make a mash with. Oh, use this thing. Put a little bit of this. So we're essentially mixing in the fat and the dairy in with the potato as we mill it. Also, by taking our potatoes out, peeling them the way I did, and then putting them back in here and putting them back in the oven, we kind of got rid of a lot of that moisture that was in there. So we can add good moisture to it from the dairy. Mix that all up. Now that that's been done, we're ready to mix up our potatoes. We're going to see if we need to add more cream or anything like that. It looks like we do not. Actually, let's add a little more. Perfect. Needs a little more salt, we're good. I'm very generous with my salt. tomorrow on Samhain, you guys can cook these things, these dishes for people. I'll take my other pot. I'm going to take my lamb and put it right into the oven. Roast that. 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Next up, got my kale. I've got my garlic situation. I'm just going to prop that right in there. Hey guys, John Connery died, and I don't care. Exactly. Sean Connery was a white beater who bragged about it on national television. He's a horrible piece of shit. So now that we have our potatoes, I'm going to bring this over to you so you can see it. All right, so there's our potatoes, there's our kale, there's our green garlic, and I made a little divot right in the middle. Just because it's simple does not mean it needs to be easy. So I'm going to make it a little complicated. I'm going to take some butter, a lot of fucking butter. I mean, a lot of fucking butter. We're talking about that much butter. I'm going to put it right in that divot. I'm going to take some Urfa chilies, Marish pepper. I'm going to put it right in this fucking oven. Hi, Mr. Lamb. While that cooks, there's one other thing I did want to show you. So this is Napa cabbage. Now, in Irish cooking, it's always like steak and potatoes, people say, or broiled cabbage. Fuck that shit. Around St. Patrick's Day, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take a Napa cabbage. This is a big fucking cabbage. You are going to cut it down the middle and then cut it into quarters. And you're going to slice it, we call julienne. I'll bring it over to the camera so you guys can see it. But yeah, so we are going to cook this down and make this another dish for our Samhain feast for tomorrow. So I grew up in, so I'll show you this before I tell you that story. So you want it to be like that. Growing up in Boston, you always heard stories about like Whitey Bulger. And it wasn't until I was older, my mother told me the story that she was at a party. He was the head of the Irish mob, and this guy, was talking to her, and he was chatting her up, and a bunch of other people were there. Billy Bulger was there, his brother, and then apparently Whitey was talking to her, and he was, hey, let's go hang out afterwards. And then her friend Jake went and grabbed her and said, listen, Libby, that's Whitey Bulger. He goes into liquor stores, he takes them over, and he is a bad man who buries people in people's basements. True story. But I'm actually half Irish. I'm going to take a lot of fucking butter here. I'm going to melt butter. I'm going to take cabbage. I'm going to put cabbage on top of butter. I was working in the North End, which is the Italian part of Boston, and there was this guy. He was like helping this woman move that lived upstairs. She was an elderly woman. And my boss, Chris, comes in and he goes, dude, I was just talking to that guy. Do you know who that is? And I was like, who? He's just like, it was Steve the Rifleman Fleming. So Steve the Rifleman Fleming was Whitey Bulger's hitman for years, but then he flipped and became a rat, and he ended up selling him out. So we're going to cook our butter down, high heat, with our cabbage, a little bit of salt. Save this for another rainy day. Garlic confit. Garlic that's been cooked in olive oil, sunflower oil, whole and raw, whole cloves that is. Brought up to a simmer for about 15 minutes so it becomes mashable. So essentially, you can take this garlic, you can just mash it with the back of a spoon. And this stuff is like, you eat this in bed on a piece of bread with a little salt because it's a little bland. Especially on those days you just want to be alone and cry. It's great. So I'm going to take a couple of these out. A couple meaning that much. And I'm going to take the back of my big spoon. I'm just going to crush it. Bulb by bulb. Until I get like a little bit of a paste situation going on here. Drop that right in there. Give a little bit of water. Add some more salt. Cook that down. Yep, that's exactly what we want. So now that I put my butter in there, hopefully it'll be browned on top. Nope, but it is melted. And that's how you essentially make Colcannon. Dip it in the middle, mashed potatoes, mix it in with your kale, your green garlic, or maybe your kale or your cabbage. Dip it, butter, roast it in the oven. Here is our scalloped corn. Probably just peel it. I really don't want to peel it off, but I will anyways. Bring it over to the camera for you guys. So as you can see, the roux is kind of like cooked it. And it's become more like kind of like a polenta cake kind of a situation thing. A common myth is that vinegar is disgusting. Some people think it's disgusting, but I don't. So this is sherry vinegar. As I've talked about all week, umami flavors, sweet, sour, salty, bitter, all that stuff. We're essentially trying to make a umami-like flavor here. So I got my sour, my sweet, from the natural sugars. I'm just going to put a little dash of that in there. Just a dash. What that will do is if you've over-salted things, vinegar will balance out that flavor. It's so fucking good. I think cabbage gets a bad rap. I don't know why. I think because people only think about cabbage and they think about like making coleslaw, which is not what I think at all. I think cabbage is fucking delicious. It's good with things like, I don't know, this prepackaged salmon that you can get at like Trader Joe's. I almost said Whole Foods. Fucking hateful Whole Foods right now. That's it. That's how you cook simple cabbage. Instead of broiling your cabbage, do that. When you go get corned beef hash for St. Patrick's Day, do yourself the favor, braise your corned beef separately, take some of the juices, do that, then we'll take your time and cut it in half. Because if you put your cabbage and your potatoes and like just the liquid, what's going to happen is it's just going to turn to mush. And I hate that. Everybody hates that. Don't be that guy or girl. Season change. Tomorrow, when you guys cook this Samhain kind of a dish for your family or yourself, keep me in mind. Think about me. I do have a tip jar, a virtual tip jar that I've set up, and we can talk about that later. It will help me immensely. It's getting smoky in here. So, had that in there for almost 10 minutes. Fat side down. I'll take the rest of my butter and I'm going to finish this shit off. Put my butter in there. Ooh, fucking hot. Smoky as shit. Turn this on. Take my butter, put it towards one my protein towards one side, bring my butter towards me, and I'm going to baste the top. Always use a big spoon for this. Hi, Chef Jack. Hi, honey. Happy Halloween. It's our first Halloween together. Just gonna let that rest for a minute. Plate. Except for like maybe just a minute. So I made some charmoula yesterday, which is a North African sauce. So is harissa. Harissa is like a North African sauce too. It's a Middle Eastern sauce, basically peppers. So this was the base. I made some homemade harissa. And then I blended some cilantro and parsley into it. So I'm going to use that on the bottom here. Before my devil sinners, what I did was I would rub the lamb with harissa and then I'd roast it in the oven low and slow. Last year's devil sinner was awesome. My buddy Bree came out from Washington. She's the light witch. And Courtney Brooke was there, and Chivo was there, Alex Corey was there. It was a fucking awesome event. Zandora was there. We lit fire to a picture that I took of Zandora's ex-husband. Not once, but twice. So, Stanton, you can go fuck yourself. That's rested for maybe a couple minutes already. Cut this right down the middle. Perfect. And I'm going to season. So when you cut steak or you cut any kind of meat, I've cut this down the middle of the lamb chop. So you season the meat. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this salsa verde right on top. Got a little bit of chilies. This is how you can cook a really fancy Samhain dinner. And hopefully, we'll have a Krampus special, Thanksgiving special. Here we go, guys. We got our scalloped potatoes. Not our scalloped potatoes, our scalloped corn. We got our kokannon. We got our cabbage. We've got our lamb as an offering. So I want to thank you guys for coming this week. Hopefully we can keep this momentum going. It was fucking amazing cooking for you. I love you. Let me know if I can do anything for you in the meantime. Send me some suggestions on things you would like me to cook. Special satanic holidays. You name it, I'll do it. And I have a virtual tip jar. It's PayPal at the Satanic Chef or something like that. I'm going to miss you guys so much. This actually brought a lot of happiness and joy to my life since this pandemic has started. I haven't been able to cook for anybody. No, thank you. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate this. Shall we put a couple Bibles and light them on fire? Hail Satan, guys. I love you. Until next time. Thank you, guys. Until next time. I love you.